All right, let's see here. We're now on 11. Oh, 12. We're now on 12 platforms. Welcome, Star Seeds. Oh, thank you, Martin, for that. Mejia, she made me an admin, so we're going to be live streaming in Star Seeds. I've been sharing in that group since like 2013, man. It's always been very supportive. So we're really happy about that. So that's 12 platforms, and one is the SoulogyNetwork.com. And we're in the beginning stages of testing the capability and making modifications. That's why one reason I did that 7-hour mixtape last night, because I wanted to see if they would cut us off, which they did, I think, at 3 hours. So I have to go back to the drawing board with them. So there's a lot of people coming in the house. Hello, Corpus Christi, Texas. What's happening? Excuse me. No, I'm eating a Mexican soup. That's my friend Chandra. Melissa Dehan's in the house. What's the crack? And other people. Violet Mellon, Bruce, the Soulogy comic, Zana. All right, let's play the minute 19-second intro so I can eat the rest of my soup and Martin can do what he needs to do. We'll be right back. How's it going, everybody? I got Michael Mejia and Martin McNicholl in the house. This is an encore performance. The last time we got together, which was inspired by Martin. Wow, it was a powerful situation, wasn't it? So we thought we would revise it. We originally were going to have David Icon today. He's rescheduled for January, and so Sandra Walter and these two beloved brothers decided to go ahead and go on with the show, carry on with the show, and we had a pretty positive and uplifting show with Sandra earlier. And last night, man, what was going on last night? Martin, your mic was still reverbing when I asked you that. I couldn't hear anything you said, but it looked like you were pretty animated. Did you feel any energy come in?
Not so much last night, but it was like just about half an hour before we've come on live. I've just finished one of my group calls, and I had this like absolute intense Kundalini rising where I was a complete mess, and I had no idea how I was going to come on live here. So I had to ground myself for the last 30 minutes, and it was like I haven't felt it since. I know the last time I felt it was in India, and it was in 2016. In Dharamshala, and I've never felt anything like that since, and it was half an hour ago. So I'm glad I'm upright and here, and so blessed to be with you two brothers again. But last night, not so much for me. But yeah, about half an hour ago it hit.
Yeah, well, that's close enough. That's close enough. How about you, Michael?
Yeah.
What about you?
I think that for me, I felt like kind of like in a big energy bubble for like probably a month and a half, just clearing a lot of deep held programs, pain, energy. And I actually kind of feel it starting to like burst. Like I feel like a deepening. I feel like it's shifting, but I'm getting more physical symptoms, which kind of subsided for maybe like a while. But I mean, like, I've really been getting the nausea like every day the last week or so, especially like, you know, in the mornings. And usually that's like, you know, the birth, especially when the stomach chakra, the solar plexus, as that's clearing, I usually get like that sort of pain, which is our power center. And then just recognition of how fast everything's shifting and how manifestation shifting. Like if you are unconsciously, you know, lost in the field of thought and emotion, how fast we're creating with that pain. And if we see it and we witness it and we, through awareness, choose not to create with it, but just feel it, watching those like higher timelines manifest. And when I'm not doing lives, all I can do is sleep and eat.
Yeah. I totally get that. So I didn't sleep last night. And Sandra, when she got on the show this morning before we got on, she said she slept like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then she was up at 1 o'clock. She didn't sleep last night. Morgan got a little sleep last night. There's definitely something going on. She touched base with or I guess connected one way or the other with another couple and a lady who's involved with someone, and they had explosive Kundalini experiences. Morgan and I had explosive Kundalini experiences last night. She could not keep her hands off me. I mean, what can I say? I'm a stud. I can't help it. I'm just kidding, kind of. But so it was like really intense and mind blowing. Total physical and non-physical intersecting in one place. And the Kundalini, I told her I kept seeing serpents. It was a Kundalini energy. And then we had to, at one point, she literally took all my energy out of my being. She like vacuumed it in, you know, like with her essence, and then put it back in me. It was crazy. And I had to roll over at that point, you know. I had to just like, I got to rest here. And so we took a little break, started back, and we could not sustain the energy. It was so intense, kissing, and just, you know, just very 3, 4, 5 minutes. She started dry heaving, you know, like she was going to vomit. I had to finally leave the room because we couldn't even like look at each other because the Kundalini was going crazy. And then I came back in the room and she was asleep. Now this is probably like 5 in the morning. So I figured, well, she's okay now. I'll go lay down. I went and lay down, and then she was asleep for a while, and then she was in her sleep and kind of like touched my hand. And then I started going off. And then I had to get up and I had to go vomit. And dude, I don't know what's happening here, but it's getting pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was full, like half an hour ago, if you had seen me, like I was fully embodying serpent energy, and I was like, and it was like, you know, I had this before where it's like front and back, like this, like that energy, but it was also this energy. It was like this,
Yeah,
merged the third eye, and it was like so powerful. My God, I was like, I didn't know how I was going to come on and do this, to be honest, and my heart's still like absolutely pumping here. I haven't felt the sickness, but I just feel like this vibration, like it's just moving me, and like I'm vibrating, shaking. Like I don't know if I can put it into words, but something going on, something powerful going on. And I love what you said, Michael, that the morning sickness, like literally, we are birthing, we're in labor of this new reality within each of us, and collectively, it's.
I was
I feel
thinking
like my
about
heart's going to jump out of my chest here.
Yeah, I was thinking about it when I was the last 3 days. I've really felt a deep desire to stay in silence. So I've been going out in the sun, and I think yesterday I just spent about 4 hours outside by myself, and I was talking to Marina today, and she said, what is it that you're experiencing? What does it feel like? And I said, it feels like a deep merging where everything's just coming back into one source of experience. And it's interesting because even like something that was coming to me today as I was outside was when we're deeply anchored in the spirit, presence itself is the only thing we really truly desire. Like, well, we become presence and we don't look for fulfillment outside of that. So I think that something that I've been analyzing within myself is just, is there a sense of peace and contentment in just being, right? Like no distraction, and just witnessing every time I feel a desire to do something because being doesn't feel enough. I know that in that moment, another wound is suffering and something that just is calling for my tender attention. And so I just think that also, you saw with Rory, we had a conversation last Friday, and I've still been integrating that experience. And usually it takes a couple of days for me to fully understand everything I'm feeling when I have an experience. And after my experience with Rory, and then I had an experience with Melissa this morning, what I realized is, and actually there was a synchronicity because Morgan wrote a really powerful post about the evolution of relationship. And I use the word evolution, but really you could use, remembering what we are, anchoring the spirit and the merging of, or the amalgamation of the divine masculine and feminine, which is creating this bridge back into the spirit. But with Rory and with Melissa, what I realized is, as what's happening is the spirit is entering the soul, and the soul is entering the heart, and the heart is entering the world. And as that happens, relationships taking on a new experience. So with Rory, what was happening is our hearts are becoming generators of light, or of essence of the spirit. And so in my exchange with Rory, light was illuminating light, and then the generator of the heart, the power of the heart, would move into whatever was still wounded. So he was, he was going through an initiation where he was anchoring his voice. And I feel like the heart space, the silence, was creating kind of like this blanket to bring that into form. And then vice versa, when I started talking about what I went through with the brain injury, his love, his heart was a generator that found whatever wound was still open inside of me. And when I was talking to Melissa today, we were having a conversation, and she was talking about some of the doubts and fears and energies she was witnessing, not creating with, not acting with, but she was in full witness of. And then I started telling her, like, you're amazing, you're great. When when your message is meant to enter, this is what it will feel like. And then she started smiling, and she was like, midway through that, I saw you talking to me, but I also saw you talking to yourself. So where a relationship is no longer a projection, right? But where when we become activated, and as the spirit expands, our light itself is activated because it's coded. So it's activating each other, healing each other, loving each other. So there's no longer a need for projection or creating realities based out of fear, because the light itself is starting to move through everything.
Yeah. And it's showing up in a lot of different ways, right? I mean, so there's people saying here they didn't sleep last night. Lucille says Kundalini serpent energy so strong these past 3 days. Had 2 Kundalini rising 2 nights in a row during my sleep with crazy lucid dreams. Yeah, and so there's no doubt it's coming out in all these different ways. Mary Rodwell was talking about these kids, on the show, the kids that she's worked with and been associated with around the world, and that one of the ways that the codes are being conveyed or shared by these children is through sound and through singing. And so she said that in that case, not only are they like young, like she was talking about a 10-year-old who was singing like a Whitney Houston. Okay.
Right.
So it's not just in the sound, but it's also in the, I guess, the genius aspect,
Mhm.
the ability and skill level is is so it's so pure and real that it's not just a non-physical, energetic pulsation. It's actually broadcast, from the physical. So the eyes are important, the sound is important, and like even what Melissa was saying about, when y'all were talking about, you weren't just talking to me, you were talking to yourself. Seeing that kind of stuff happen in like the etheric field, third
Right.
eye. What I'm saying is, like in Rory's case, that voice, that throat chakra spoke for itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I think it's happening more and more. It doesn't have to be light language. It doesn't have to be toning. But there's something going on with that, and I've been pulling this in for a long time. It's not me, but this thing about the throat chakra actually consists of both the physical and the non-physical, because you have the physical aspect of the mouth and the throat and the vocal cords, but you have the non-physical aspect, which is the sound and the wavelengths, the tonation and the resonation. And there's something about that being significant in uniting the physical and the non-physical. So I think we're going to see more and more of it. And in fact, we might see some here in just a second, because Martin is lit right now. He is absolutely lit. You're up, Martin.
Oh, he's not ready yet.
No, that's fine. Keep going.
When sound, and I know what you're talking about with, because what's happening is, right, when we talk about oneness and we talk about the unified field and we talk about pure consciousness, it literally means that there is a physical activation of oneness where your heart is activated by the light that's now moving through the soul into the heart. So what happens is you feel an inextricable connectedness to everything. So we're no longer projecting this concept of oneness through thought, which is devoid of feeling, which is the nature of the spirit. How do we feel connected to the world? By feeling everything. And because for so long, all we could feel was our pain, we weren't able to feel how connected we were to everything else, because our only point of reference for embodiment was just feeling the pain speak inside of us and then formulate all of our thoughts and our words and our actions, which then we're creating experiences. But with what you said, and I think it's really powerful, is if you think about it, light, sound, tones, everything was first emanated out of utter stillness, the silence. Like in our purest form, we are stillness. And I think with the talk the three of us had last time, and then the conversation Rory and I just had, I felt like there were portals and initiations where that stillness was expanding in and out through his poem, through the silences, right? With this conversation we had a few months ago. And you're right. Once the spirit comes back online, whatever it touches, whatever it says, whatever it creates, and whatever it does is emanating light. And so if it does and says nothing, and if it's just still in the container of the body or the form, we're still feeling this pure resonance of eternal manifestation. And yeah, it's really fascinating because, something I feel is, whenever it gets really quiet, like in life, in conversations, like if you're in conversation with another human or at a family get together or on the phone, and then that silence comes in, what do people usually want to do? They want to get off the phone right away. Or they want to, right? Because everyone gets uncomfortable. In the old paradigm, we weren't comfortable because the moment that opening of silence entered, we would have to feel the perpetuation of our own inner thought, our own inner dialogue. And we'd have to feel how tumultuous our heart space is. Yeah. So when silence enters now, I think a really cool metric for where your own psyche is and where your own emotional body is what happens, right? When someone offers a moment of silence, do thoughts start to formulate where you're like, this is awkward, this is boring, when are they going to say something? Why aren't they saying anything? Man, I want to do something else. You're literally experiencing the disequilibrium of where you are inside of yourself. But if silence is offered and you're quiet and you start to feel the connection of everything around you and you feel the voice of the silence, then you've fallen beneath your pain and you get to start experiencing how connected we all are. And I think that silence is going to be the new voice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Or nonverbal expressions, or maybe verbal that have some that utilizes the vocal cords, but not words.
Yeah,
not words, just sounds.
Yeah,
that's how we started.
That's what I was going to say. Why does everyone love babies? Mm-hmm. They're not telling us about the universe. They're making us feel the universe. Yeah. Right? We're just in their presence. And I know the other day I was like totally feeling all the energy I was going through. I'm like, my friend has a baby that's about 6 months. So I'm like, I need to go see the Buddha baby and just sit with him. You just feel his energy and his knowing. He's back. Mm-hmm. Man.
Is it still going? Yeah.
Look at this. I'm just trying to hold it together here. I don't even know what I'm doing here, to be honest. Oh my God. Oh, brothers. I was just I can't put it into words. The silence is the only expression that can come close to what is going on. So there's going to be a lot of silence for me. I need to move some of this through. Silence is our essence. And the silence is, before anything was, silence is. Michael, it's just amazing. You asked us to prepare something for this. And what you shared the first time, I'm not going to tell you now, but you're going to hear it when I share what you inspired for me to share. Hopefully I can read it. But it's just amazing. I just want to remember this moment now because the words that you spoke and what is to be shared, it's just incredible. The synchronicity and the alignment, and I feel like I'm going to be coming in and out of consciousness. So if I'm not responding to what you're saying, I apologize. I'm just, I just am.
You're good.
Yeah. I think this is a beautiful expression of where we all are. I know there's times right now that I just really, like I talked about earlier, there's times I just want to be still. And I think that we're all witnessing this threshold that we're all crossing back into the voiceless, formless state, which is our power center. And how about you, brother Todd? How have you been feeling?
Have I been feeling?
Yeah, like how have you been feeling with like the clearing? Like I've been experiencing deep held pain. Have you been experiencing that too?
I had about a 36-hour period where I just stayed in our spare bedroom by myself, unless I was working, unless I was broadcasting or working. And it wasn't anything emotional, wasn't anything mental, but it was very physical. I felt very, very sick. Like I felt like I've only felt sick twice in the last whatever number of years. And yeah, I was thinking about COVID and stuff like that. That's how bad I felt.
Yeah.
But it didn't last too long. But it was very, very uncomfortable. And I just basically I tried to nourish myself, and then I just laid down, and I tried to sleep as much as I could. And I sweat a lot. There was a lot of like a flu, but yeah, leading up to that, in the last week, a lot of like historical and collective downloads, like massive amounts. That I haven't really totally tapped into, but some interesting stuff coming in. But yeah, I feel good, man. I feel really good. I feel like something huge has been. We've crossed a threshold that's just huge, absolutely huge, and we experienced it last night, and other people that we're touching base with, one way or the other, they're pretty much saying the same thing as we can see with Martin, and I think it's obviously different for everybody, but I mean, I didn't sleep last night. Several people said it here. Sandra said it. I just saw a comment from Candace that said her son's been waking up in the morning because he's mourning his parents from a past life. That's that we talked about that on the show the last 2-3 days with Mary and Marie Batchelor, Mary Rodwell, and talking about how this stuff is coming in, what it is, what it means, but just the fact that it's coming in more and more and more and more. The multidimensional aspects in the form of memory and code and light and activations, and I mean, if that's another example of the veils that are thinning or lifting totally, and we know that everything else parallels with that. So, man, I think this period of time between now and whatever, I mean, the solstice or after the solstice or the 11th of January, I mean, I think we're in for a hell of a ride here. I really do.
I am testament to that right at this moment. Oh God. Like I feel like it's just gone to a whole new level. And it's an opening within each individual. It's not just each individual has a key for the collective. As the individual opens, the collective rises, as each touches into their pains and touches into their challenges, touches into that which has manifested in this story, this life, this story of Todd, of Michael, of Martin. Each time that's touched into it, a doorway is opened for the collective. And each individual that moves through that doorway opens a grand doorway for all to move through more swiftly, not without, but with less. We are holding a frequency, and we are holding a space for many to move through that may not necessarily have to move through the same challenges or feel to the same depth that we have. So we are, in essence, we are holding the cross for many people. We are walking through the fires. We're moving through these in reverence and in honor and in gratitude for our sisters and brothers. And each of us that walks through that door now, we are invited to see that every step counts, and every doorway and every tear that has dropped and every joy that you can find in the process is essential for the whole, and everyone is intrinsic. And it doesn't matter how small you think your role is or how grand you imagine it to be. Everything is one. Everything is on a level. So keep stepping forward, keep moving forward, and keep allowing yourself the opportunity to take that step, and don't let yourself be talked back in by that small self. Don't let yourself believe that story that what difference will I make? What difference will this step make? Because it's intrinsic. No one gets left behind. There is no one. There is no other. It's one unit, one reality, one being. Humanity is one being. And people think like they're moving their own ways in different levels. It's one being. It's an organic state. We're like the cells of each other. And when we reflect the cells of each other, we become this organic, evolving, beautiful being, and as Gaia, and as the universe as a whole. So keep on with your journey, whatever it is for you, and see that reflected in others and hear it in the words of others, and really allow yourself time to celebrate yourself and enjoy yourself and enjoy your body and enjoy your breath and enjoy everything that this life, the gift that it gives, because it's a gift, a present that keeps on giving, doesn't stop.
I think that along with what you just said, brother, and then something that Todd said, you said this maybe a week or two ago, Todd, about a while back you had received a message that if you are experiencing something where you feel separate, you're the point of separation in that moment. Do you remember that message you talked about?
Yeah, that was, yeah. So if you are looking at something outside of yourself, and there's any distinction between you and that energy, such as inferiority, superiority, or that's not me, that's the easiest way. That's not me. I don't do that. Then you're the point of separation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so with what Martin's talking about, entering this field of unity consciousness, and then I remember you said that you're the point of separation in that moment, right? So it's, how do we know if we are experiencing, in human terms, I guess we call it, right, the fifth dimension, unity consciousness, pure consciousness, samadhi, enlightenment? How do you know if you're in that field? How do you know if that's activated inside? It's activated if there is a holy reverence for everything you are seeing and experiencing. And the moment there is a perception of other, like what you received, you are experiencing either the purgatorial state, the in-between world, the fourth dimension, or you're experiencing duality and the bisection of thought and emotion. So now when we've done enough work, we actually we can quantify what it feels like to be in these different worlds. And we can experience inside of our psyche and in our emotional body. So I know when pain has taken me. Then I know when I'm in the purgatorial state where I'm being purified and I feel void of any emotion, thought, feeling, or intuitive expression, and I'm being purified. And then I can feel the expansion of taking a deep breath and breathing in all of creation, right? So now that we're having these experiences, the more we expand, what we're finding is everything is being redefined. Everything. So I know, like, I've been talking a lot about compassion lately. If you have compassion for one person or a group of people, but you don't have compassion for another person or a different group of people, you're experiencing separation, because compassion in its purest form does not discriminate and it does not leave anything out. It's all inclusive. And in order for compassion to reach its fullest potential, it includes the totality of its creation, the one, the I am, right? So what we're experiencing right now is there's a deep desire collectively to witness and experience the power and the healing potential of the mirror. Because right now it's like, as virtue expands back into the body, it's loving everything as yourself, loving every human being. And that's only going to happen when the conceptual and emotional subjugation of thought and pain has been completely neutralized. Because at the end of that experience, all that's left is the essence, and the essence is love. And love understands that it's created everything. So it's even something I'm coming to find, which if I heard myself speaking right now a few years ago, or if I had read these concepts a few years ago, they wouldn't have resonated because I didn't understand them, right? Like, no, this is just wrong. That's just bad. That's just evil. What's happening as we're all entering this field that Martin was just describing is we're remembering how everything was created and that everything is serving a greater vision. And as we come back online, we understand that vision and we're starting to remember. And there's room in this vision for everything that's ever been created, no matter how dense it appears or how blissful it appears.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it was interesting talking to Sandra Walter about the present state of affairs, like what you're talking about. And in reflecting on, she's the one that actually brought it up. I was going to bring it up, but she was reflecting on the projection and the polarization, the acting out, the division and separation in the lightworker community these last couple of months or so. And after talking to her and then kind of taking into consideration the conversations that have been had over the last couple of months and what I've observed and what I've experienced, I really feel like that those were really good signs. And I kind of know that going in, but to me, it's like evidence of the calm before the storm, of the darkness before the dawn. I think we have collectively, as a group, call it way showers or whatever you want to call it, I think we've done a pretty good job. And yeah, we still have some things to work out, but I don't look at what's occurred over the last 2 or 3 months, especially with opinions in regard to vaccinations and quarantines and masks and the election and Trump and Q and all that. I don't look at that as in a pessimistic way. I look at it as a positive sign now that's actually reflecting what you just said. You're saying it from kind of a general higher perspective. And I think you said a minute ago, what does that look like? And I think that's what I'm saying is this is what it looks like at the human level down in the trenches. And it may look like shit, but it actually is a very positive sign because these things are being put out there so people can see them in other people and they can look for them in themselves and do the work that needs to be done. And then I think the other thing I'd add to that is there is a growing knowing that this is a collective ascension. Like it's happening. And we certainly can flow with it or find our niche with it, we can certainly resist it, and everything like that. But it's happening regardless, and I really feel like, even given the external circumstances on the global stage and what it may very well expand in distortion, but our expansion of unity consciousness and ascension and that divine love is going to expand step by step, if not more. So I feel really good about the trajectory that we're on as we head into the last part of November.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm feeling back now. Just first, before I forget, numbers are my language. So the second that you said the calm before the storm, I think it was the calm before the storm. Is that what you said? On my time. So anyone in UK or Ireland time, it was 21, 12, and 12 seconds. I swear. 21, 12, and 12 seconds.
You love when that shift happens, man.
Oh my God. So yeah, I wanted to share that before, and I want to just take what you both shared there and just offer something that might assist with this, like what Michael shared and like what you're talking about, is that whenever we're in compassion for all and non-judgment of all, the dark, the light, the here, the there, it doesn't mean that we lose preference. It doesn't mean that we are, we're just accepting the way the word is. No, we don't lose preference, but we lose judgment. We lose the separation. We lose the identity that we have as light workers and the dark. We lose the identity of left and right and this wing and that wing and all of this stuff. We lose the identity. We accept everything as it is, but we still have preference to live the life that is true to us, to live that without being in resistance to what is emerging, what has been unseen is becoming seen. We can be in compassion for that. We can be in acceptance of that without losing our preference to be in our truth, to speak our truth, to focus on what we wish to focus on. By resisting it, like has always been shared, we strengthen it, but we can let it be there without the story, without the attachment, without the identity that it gives us and gives another. But we still have preference to, follow that truth within. And I feel like that, because people hold on strongly to the resistance, the split, I feel the split in the light worker, it's very clear. It's those who are in the, the camp, the disclosure, the camp, the resistance, the fight, the uncover, and those who are, that line is blurry as well, but those who are in holding the light, doing your inner work, following what this represents for me, that's the split. But that split is not real. Each of those are playing perfect roles. So if we can see the person that's out there on the front line doing that for what they believe is true, then we can accept that without the label, without the judgment, and we can have compassion, but we don't have to resist it. They're playing their perfect role, like you said, Todd. It's a perfect storm now. And 21, 12, 12, and 21, 12, 20, or 12, 21, 20, in the other way you said. Like that's where we are now. So I just feel just like to offer that, just in case anyone, feeling like, yeah, I can be in unity consciousness, I can be there, but what about all this darkness? And each of us know, and many who are watching here, who are called to these conversations, are doing work on levels that are beyond this physical world and beyond and we're working on very, very deep levels. And I know personally, I've been working on stuff like that's very, like, language is not even going to do it justice, but the darkest of the dark, what we could call that. Yeah. And I've been able to somehow find this place where that it's what is. I'm playing my role and doing what I'm doing, but I'm not fighting it any longer. I'm not pushing it away. I'm not choosing it as well. My preference is to focus and be in community with people like we are here, but we don't have that separation within. Like you said, you're the point of separation. Yeah. There's no one else. So just wanted to, like, you don't lose your preference.
Yeah, I think
that's what's important.
Yeah. I think what comes up for me in that too is when we just have awareness for the functionality of our own process, then we start to see the dance between the individual and the collective, and the micro and macro as one, right? So it's like, um, did I enjoy having a brain injury? No. There, it wasn't an experience that brought a lot of joy. Did I enjoy accepting my sexuality and losing, certain people disappearing from my world? No. But what happens as we journey through that pain is we realize that something inside of us that was unresolved, or something that was disconnected from itself, was calling those experiences into manifestation. Then you experience an expansion through the transfiguration of that realization and how you honor the pain and energy. So I think when we start just understanding the individual experience, we see that we've all suffered greatly, every single one of us. It's literally part of the universal experience. But the suffering is to catalyze remembrance. So what happens, like along with what Martin said about where judgment becomes dissolved, is when we realize that what we're witnessing outside is collective suffering. So when we see, the animation or perpetuation of racial or cultural or political chasms, what we're seeing is that the universe collectively just wants to dissolve all of these finite identities that plague each form and have enslaved them to time, right? We've been enslaved by time. How are we enslaved by time? When the experiences in time are held onto, and then they condition our thinking. We've been told what we are. We ourselves have adopted what we wanted to be because we didn't have enough patience to experience the emptiness or the pain or the longing. So now what you see and where this non-judgment comes from is, first, it comes from inside. When we've transformed, when enough pain has been transformed within ourselves, that pain is replaced with love, and love resides in a basket weaved of compassion, right? And so what we see outside of us right now is a collective atonement. And all of the perpetuation of judgment is really an expression of the collective moving through a purification. And we are embodying the formless state. The spirit lives outside of time. It is formless. It is wordless. It is nameless. It has zero identity. And now that we're anchoring the formless in the form, in the physical, to experience the timeless in time, right? Until all of this identity is neutralized, we're going to continue to experience what the chaos and pain itself would call chaos and pain. But what the spirit in neutral observation would call it is purification, right? And so as we're experiencing this, there isn't a judgment. And, we can all just ask ourselves, how were our identities stripped? I thought I was an athlete. I had a brain injury. I never ran again. You're no longer an athlete, but you're still here. You still have breath. So maybe you weren't an athlete, right? Like all those things I thought I was. I'm a runner. I'm a coach, right? What happens when you think you're a poet or you're a singer? One of my favorite singers is Julie Andrews. Her vocal cords were damaged. She never sang again, but she's still here and she still has breath. We go through individual suffering and collective suffering because the truth is when all these identities are stripped and we think we've lost everything, we actually find what we really are. And the thing we find can never be taken away, ever. Right. And that's when we no longer identify with anything, right? Not even poet, not even singer, not even things that are perceived as positive. If there's a positive or negative charge, you're still experiencing duality, right? If someone says, I love Michael Mejia and I get happy, and then someone else says, I hate Michael Mejia and I get sad, I'm still experiencing the external world as a projection of my own thought and pain being mirrored back to me. But when you reach that place where you're sustained by existence and everything is a mirror of yourself, the positive and negative charge dissolve. And that's what the Christ meant. That's what the Buddha meant, right? Moving beyond. That's what Rumi meant. Moving beyond the field of thought and emotion and falling into something that breathes in all of us, something that doesn't die no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, right on. Martin, you started something. That's
What?
all. Come over here now. It's like
What
a hot
was it?
potato. I don't know.
Oh yeah, let's go.
It's shooting at my legs. It's in my throat, my stomach.
Oh my God.
So Martin said, you don't lose your preference. And then you talked about, Michael, you talked about judgment from a higher perspective. From the higher perspective, we know everything's cool. We know everything is perfect. It's a divine orchestration. It makes perfect sense. It's an equal energy exchange at all points. One of the things that I think will be an indicator of the reemergence of the divine masculine in the physical examples will be how, and this is to your point about the losing your voice or losing your ability to run or whatever, will be the attachment that the distorted masculine had to what they do. If you look at, for instance, professional athletes, there's a very high suicide rate for athletes that have, careers, and they don't even have to be that long, 5, 10, 15 years. They don't know what to do with themselves. Their whole identity is gone. The human man, the shadowed human man, for the most part, you can say it falls on that, totally over-identify with their job. You take their job away, what happens? They lose their identity. Women weren't built that way. So I think that's starting to materialize, and what you're actually talking about lends to that. So Morgan and I were talking last night, and so these subjects, and there's no coincidence, come up. And one of the things, I always try to break it down. And what does that look like? How do we navigate this thing? This information is knowledge. This is sacred knowledge. This is Akashic. But in order for it to be wisdom, we have to take action with it. We can't stand pat with it. We have to take a step forward with it. And that somebody might look at it and go, oh, well, you may fail. But the fact is, you got to take a step in order to create a choice to continue down the path. And so what we were talking about last night was, how do we, the judgment is being dealt with. Mark makes a great point. If somebody, and this happened to me yesterday, somebody sends me a note and it was a nasty note, and I just read it and went, oh, and I just archived it, right? I didn't have a charge, and I didn't even have a joking charge. Like, 6 months ago, I would have wrote, go start your own fucking show, whatever. But I didn't even think about it. I just clicked it. I saw it. I didn't think about it again. So but I have a preference, and my preference is not to pick up the phone and call that person and say, hey, how you doing? You want to go have lunch? Yeah. I've got no charge. So I really appreciate what you said, because it kind of connected everything for me here. So what she was talking about last night is, how do we conduct ourselves with integrity? how do we conduct ourselves with integrity, because we're in this middle space. You know, the higher knowledge is over here. Oh, we know it's all perfect, but we're not all standing on that ledge looking down together, you know, singing Kumbaya, right?
Yeah.
So we're transitioning, and everybody's at a different place, you know, and so how do you do that? I guess you have to do it on an individual level. So we had a couple of things come up, and one of them was somebody that had requested something from me, you know, one or two times, and the reality is it's just not the right time. So much of what we're experiencing requires, well, in order for it to flow properly, in order for it to sustain itself and perpetuate itself indefinitely, it has to be what, you know, the Trinity energy. It has to be what Morgan wrote about. It has to be this balance in you know, what we call the sacred union, the divine union, in order for the golden child to flourish, a new business enterprise, new relationship. These things going forward can only be built with truth and purity. So how do we get there? You know, we take this knowledge, we take an action, we create a higher wisdom. That is the steering wheel is integrity, and that may require that I have to pick up the phone and call a person and say, hey, listen, I just don't resonate with you. I love you, but I just don't resonate with you, or I don't resonate with the idea of what you've got or what you're proposing. Or it may take those things. We've talked about on the show for a few weeks about how saying nothing and dealing with it in the energetic field, that's a pretty good success rate. I mean, that's been my experience. It might, I don't know what it is. It's 80, 85%, 90%, but we're still all working this out. And I thought that was a pretty sharp comment that she made when she said, how do we do that? In other words, we have to maintain integrity. And that means put your best foot forward. And I think that also means possibly having to be direct, because we are getting past the point where we worry about what other people think, with respect and compassion and unconditional love, though. You can't just say, oh, F off. It's not like that. So I think this new directness and honesty and sincerity is, if it's not what a part of our true essence, and you can say original blueprint or whatever, it's very close to it. And we're much better off to be in those fields of engagement than to be playing the shell games and sweeping shit under the rug and, you know, dancing around, you know, dancing on eggshells and all that stuff, you know, beating around the bush. So integrity, you don't have to change your preference. You still have that choice. I think are both really great points. And I do feel that judgment is to me, is the number one thing right now. I think that we have spent too much time making exceptions. And when you make an exception, that is a narcissistic program. It's a narcissistic frequency, because you're saying it's okay for me, but not for you. Okay. So judgment, to me, there is no middle ground, no sarcasm, no funny jokes, you know, no many words spoken in jest, no, there is no wiggle room at all. Yeah. And I'm not saying, oh my God, we've all got to go out and do this tomorrow. Todd's pious. I mean, you know, that's not the case. But my point is, this is where our conscious creation, in my estimation, I'm talking about on an individual level, this is beyond the divine sacred union base, our foundational point that conceives the golden child energy, that is our creative life force, that is the expansion of the universe in this incarnation or series of incarnations. But what I'm saying, once you get past that, how do you navigate when you're still got the human aspect going and dancing with the rest of your other aspects that are dropping in more and more every day, is judgment. Mm-hmm. If I'm in judgment, this is the one place where I can light my fire, I can expand, I can become a contagion for other souls. If I really hold my feet to the fire and catch myself when I'm in judgment, because we're going to have the judgment, but you go grab it, pull it back, let it dissipate, and then move forward. And this goes for anyone, in my opinion, anyone and everyone that has ever done anything to me or whatever. There are no exceptions. I have done people, I have done companies I worked for, bosses, substances, acts. I mean, me. The vast majority of this type of exercise has been about me. And I got to tell you that, as we all know, that takes a lot of work, but I know I'm not the only one that feels very clean compared to what I felt 6 months or a year or 5 years ago. So thank you for reminding us that we don't have to change our preference. Thank you for Morgan for the remark on integrity, and thank you, Michael, for bringing up judgment.
Yeah, I think it's so important that humor that really hit me. That humorous one. What do you like? The humorous charge, because that is an easy way around it. I know I can call myself. I know that's something that I use, and I can see it, and that's so subtle, and it's something that it can make light, but it can steer you around. It's just an easy way in with humor. And Irish people, we do this anyway. It's a gift, but also I can see it there. And to the point, what you shared there, love is gentle, love is kind, love is also power, integrity, and strength, and loving someone so purely that you are willing to hold them as the love that they are. And sometimes that's going to be a very difficult conversation. Sometimes that's going to be something that they're not going to want to hear and you're not going to want to say, but that is real love. Love is not just wishy-washy. Love is true. It's gentle, it's kind, but it's true, and it's authentic, and it's real. And we are all being called, of course, to hold ourselves internally to that, because it's all inside here. But outwardly, whatever that percentage is, I'm sure there's not a person watching this that doesn't have experiences like that, where they know they do need to be that strong, loving character and that strong, loving being with another, and having a communication. I know I have many, and I just feel like it's so key what you shared there. And I feel like not to like identify or to have the romantic idea of love, that it's only one way. Love is all encompassing, like Michael so poetically and beautifully puts in everything that he does. It's all encompassing, doesn't leave anything out. So that means some challenging times, but the payoff, so to speak, is just so much more worth it. It's so pure, and the release of yourself and that other, regardless of preference, regardless of what happens afterward, it's the greatest gift that you can give to any and all. So we're all in that boat now. We're all there, and I just feel we're really at a zenith point. We're really like you said. I could feel when you were talking about it's a small percentage, but that's going to create critical mass for all of us, relationships and all of these things, and they're going to come back around. We're going to have some moments, all of us. But we got this. I feel like we're right on track, and just hearing it expressed from both of you and feeling the energy of everyone who's watching this now or in the future, it's so palpable. It's so fresh, but we're right there. We're right there now.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I saw two comments that really resonated. One was someone wrote from judgment to discernment. And I think all of us are experiencing that, right? Because we still have to interpret the energy that's coming into our field and what energy we're transmitting out into the world. But it's that shift from no longer labeling the experience we're having, but discerning what we're feeling, right? So in the past, it's like if we had an experience that we perceived as negative, which were unconsciously perceiving from our own pain and inner judgment. Now, as we become more clear, we're having an experience where we go, that doesn't really feel good, or that, right? We could kind of feel the physical effect it has, right? And so we're able to learn how to still navigate the world. You know what I mean? And then someone else talked about being human, and yes, being human is really important, and being able to honor our humanness and honor our pain and how it is manifesting, how we've created with it, how people's pain has created against us, like how we've danced with those different energies, and knowing that how long did all of us in the old paradigm, controlled by our fear, how long did we call attachment love?
Mm.
How long did we call lust or sexual intimacy love? How
Mm.
long did we call material gain success? Right? We're remembering what this all is from a deeper dimension. Love in its purest form is who we are. It's not something we can gain from another human being. It's only something that can be unlocked from inside of us. And when you have that experience where the essence of who you are at your core has been revealed and unlocked, you're going to start vibrating at a way where you attract people who've had that same inner experience.
Mm.
And now you'll move into sacred relationship. But again, you're not taking from each other. You're actually just experiencing two activated spirits in their soul
Mm.
and in the world. So, right, we're remembering what this all is. It's not always easy, and the truth, and one of the deeper truths for me from my experience has been, I've only been able to hold myself and love myself through this as much as I've unlocked who I really am. So, right, there was that inner judgment was so strong and uncontrollable when fear was dictating most of my life experience. But now, as love starts to expand, we get to, as we love ourselves more, right? When we say that, I need to love myself more, what does that mean? That means I need to have more revelatory experiences where the light of who I am continues to expand inside of me. And that can only happen when we honor everything that has accumulated through time and is blocking our feeling experience of ourselves, right? Instead, we're experiencing everything that's assimilated in time. And when we fall deeper into ourselves, we're able to really honor every aspect of the human experience, whether it's pain and fear anchoring the body into the world, or whether it's now the essence anchoring the body into the world. The essence itself's able to love all of it unconditionally. The only thing that isn't able to love it all unconditionally is the pain and fear itself, which doesn't love itself, which continues to perpetuate its existence by disidentifying with the world, to continue to feed on having an experience of separation, which again shouldn't have a negative or positive charge from the spirit, because the spirit realizes that the universe wanted to have that experience. Right? The creator of the creation, which is the essence that's mirrored in each form at the core, is literally, I think it's Marina, I think it is, has a beautiful, she always talks about the source of creation as a puppeteer, and its strings leading to the very center and core of each human form, right? But that's a whole nother conversation, because then we're going to get into fatalism and free will, and that stuff's fun. But
So, one of the really encouraging takeaways from the show this morning with Sandra Walter was that she talked about a wave that would begin on 12/12 and run till, I want to say, January 20, give or take a day or two. And this wave was called Revelation. And in this wave, and I'm just going to paraphrase or summarize what she said, there's less of an emphasis on such things as pain, frailties, or imbalance, actions, words, thoughts, whatever, programming, whatever, because in this wave there would be a greater clarity of who I really am. So instead of, it sounded to me like a little bit different, like a little shift here, and where our focus has been, oh, what's that I'm feeling, and this and that, like, why did that happen, and why did they do that, and why did I do that? I'm not saying that's going away. What I'm saying is that she clearly stated in her intel that we would have, especially, and she said, quote unquote, especially light workers, almost like as we prepare to go into 2021 and become those columns of light that so many people have prophesied that we will be, and the necessity for us to do what we need to do so we can serve. But anyway, it's a higher degree of clarity of who I am. So as it becomes more obvious who I am in my field of awareness, those things that used to take a lot of time will just be a blink of an eye, right? And I think what you were talking about is very important. And again, from that higher perspective, that's something that's also becoming more clear, and we're accepting that we're eternal souls, and we're really beginning to walk the talk. We're not just throwing cliches out there, and fear, and those charismatic children of fear, shame and guilt and blame and all that stuff that we've dealt with. You're right. They don't operate the same way as our natural nature is love, right? And most of the time, their unconscious are their second nature. And so this is why I still go back to the human interactions, because whether it's by messenger or audio mail or audio voicemail or a phone call or a video call, it doesn't matter. These are to me, they are, other than maybe traumas, these are our greatest opportunities to maximize our potential, to fuel our speed of acceleration, or how fast we're going, because they happen all the time, and because we've been so codependent, and this has been our vehicle, and if we're transforming, everything's transforming. So I go back to the conversation from last night, and I think about things like, okay, how many times have I said I'm not going to say this to that person, because I've had enough experience and been on both ends of it. When somebody comes to me and says, hey, you do this, you do that, which you might as well just say, you're guilty of this, you're guilty of that. I love you, so I'm going to tell you. And the response is, well, you do this and you do that. And then you get into this pissing contest or a cat fight, and it's futile. So I look at the conversation last night, and I look at what I'm talking about, the human interactions, one-on-one interactions being, opportunities all day long, every day, for transformation, for new behaviors, and for new methods, right? And so I look at it and I say, okay, well, maybe because there is an aspect of directness that's okay, that we talked about earlier, that's coming into the field and coming into our lifestyle. How would I say something like that? I might say, like I said in the earlier example, hey, I just don't resonate with that. So the answer is no, but in a very nice, compassionate, polite, well-mannered way. And to Martin's point earlier, I may not even I still exercise my preference, which is not to, right? Not to concede something I shouldn't concede. So I look at that and I say to myself, okay, I think it's okay for me to think about how I'm going to say this, keep it short, because the more we talk, the more we fuck it up. I'm convinced. And just be premeditative in terms of how I present the energy that is my true nature, that is my truth. I don't resonate with this. I'm not going to apologize for that. I don't resonate with this. Thank you for asking. Shake hands. See you later. I'm going to have some foresight that I didn't have before, and I'm going to look to get an answer that is the same as what I initiated. Short, sweet, honest, and true. And walk, and separate at that point. I just feel that these human interactions aren't going to go away. In fact, they're probably the best measuring stick that we have in terms of our own personal progress, or even that of the collective. How are we interacting with each other? And whether it be a family or whether it be the whole world. And we know this. We've come far enough to know now that the individual, as goes the individual, so goes the collective. There's not one of us here that doesn't have the potential to change the whole world. But we can't leave it up to anyone else, and we all know that now. Yeah. Thank you. Want to go around one more time, or you want to do the whatever we're supposed to do? I never do my homework when y'all say.
I'd like to offer just one thing that you said a word there, or you said a statement like, "What does this look like?" I don't know if you said it was you or Morgan, but what does this look like? And just what's coming to me, like from what you've both shared, is how we can look at this is like we are cells in the body of Mother, Father, God. At times in the body, there is imbalance. What does love like when what does love look like when there's imbalance in the body? Love looks like white blood cells going to the point of imbalance and transmuting that and back into life. And sometimes that can be a painful process. Sometimes that can be, it needs a transformational process. So this can be those conversations, is the white blood cells moving to that point and having an interaction that maybe chemicals going off. It may be uncomfortable, but ultimately it is the most loving thing to do. And the human interactions are the cells of the body that are all the cells of the body of Mother, Father, God are all conscious and aware we are that. And as we connect with the other cells, the head is speaking to the heart, the knees are speaking to the toes, those parts that have been separated, they're speaking to each other. And the revelation is the revealing that we are a cell in the one body. It's one body. There is no separation. You can't separate yourself. You can pretend, and what happens, and when it mutates, it becomes cancerous growth, it becomes overgrowth, and it becomes something that needs more of these white blood cells and many of these different conditions that we can see that this is who we are. And the most loving thing at times can be a very powerful transmutation within the body. The interactions is the revelation, the revealing of the unity. We are one body. And sometimes there's pain in the body. Sometimes there is aspects that need attention. And the human interactions and coming together reveal that, and they are portals to opening that doorway, because we were myopic and we think we're this singular cell and this singular part. You could look at like the organs of the body, and it's like the liver doesn't know that it's in the body with the stomach, and the head doesn't know it's in the body with the heart. And what you do, Todd, and what Michael offers in his sharings is this coming together of the cells, not in overgrowth, which was the distorted masculine, which was like what you talked about for the identities and the growth and the striving and the pushing. That's the overgrowth. It's the coming together, and then you have cell mitosis. You have the birthing of new realities, and that's what recreates the body of Goddess, the body of Mother, Father, God, and we are that. So as each of us become aware of all the aspects of the body of God that we are, we begin to communicate with all of those. And it's unconscious and it's more in the silence, but it's effortless. And whenever we become aware of that, what is revealed is our oneness, is our unity, is our wholeness. And that is beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah. That was amazing.
That was amazing. And my Kundalini started again. My gonads are boiling.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Well, it's energy. You know, that's what we're learning. That's what we're learning, though. It's energy. It's energy. It's God. What is it? I don't even know what you call it. Chi, life force, energy, Kundalini.
Powerful. Anyway, I can.
Did you have something you wanted to share, brother Martin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you had said we would prepare something, and I don't ever prepare something, but this morning, and I know it's inspired by you, Michael, and it's just amazing because you're going to hear it, and I'm sure anyone that listens to this. So I wrote this morning at 5 o'clock, I think, or something, and I struggled to decipher my own handwriting. I don't write very often because I like vocal. It took me a while to decipher my own handwriting, so there might be a few wee things that don't flow so well, but it'll be all good. But it's just amazing some of the words and phrases and that has been shared here, and specifically something you said at the start, Michael. So I'm going to just share it now. So the first one, I'm going to tell you what it was called, and we have not spoke about this. No one else has read this. No one even knows that this exists, not even Elise. So start back. It's called The Merging. So you remember what you were talking about earlier?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called The Merging. So I just invite us all just to take a breath. Firstly, take a breath. You're watching now or in the future, take a breath. And if you feel comfortable and you wish, you can close your eyes and just release and just be open. Just invite you on your next breath. Feel like you're breathing in divine masculine energy. And as you breathe out the breath of life, the divine feminine energy. Breathe in once more, breathing in the masculine energy. Breathing out the divine feminine energy. For this final breath, you breathe in, hold the breath, and the divine masculine, divine feminine is merged as one at your heart. One being, one truth merged. The merging is a coming home, a becoming whole in realization. That which is the masculine and feminine polarities exist in perfection within all beings, and the merging is a reunification within and not a reunion without. All is contained within your sacred heart. As you merge and remerge from the great beyond, you bring the seed of life, the seed of wholeness, ready to be birthed in body as the Christ.
Mm-hmm.
That singular essence is given birth in form through your merging with self and the realization of your eternal and ineffable being beyond, that is always whole, that is always true, and is always here and now. The dream of separation, the bodily longings, are but a pointing to that which cannot be other than whole within. An outward other is not needed for one to be one within. An outward other shall arise as a reflection of the one union within. The masculine and feminine are but two wings of the one dove of freedom within, on a journeyless flight in that begins and ends in the same tree of life within your heart. So reach not outwardly for that which is inwardly. Strive not to be othered. Sink into the heart of hearts, where you are self-mothered. Rise in union, in wholeness and truth. Be one and the same in adulthood as in youth. Your wisdom, your power, your essence of being needs no introduction, needs no other freeing. The God, the goddess, your intrinsic nature is alive and present now, not in some utopian future. The Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end, all occur within you, my infinite friend. The world is a dream, the body a boat, playing on an ocean of time, and the waves keep you afloat. Your infinite self is whole and complete. The marriage within needs no outward flight. The merging is done, it's already so. The flower of life is watching it grow. So plant seeds of hope, of laughter and play, and make of your life a dazzling display. The one, the only, the infinite reality is that you are the truth, the wisdom in totality. It is in joy and laughter, in fun and games, that the identity of God is given her names. In the dance of the divine, through your sacred body, three become one, and the merging is done.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, he did his homework. Did you notice there was a little rhythmic limerick rhythm?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't limerick, but the limerick rhythm was there because I love limericks, and I know when I'm telling you that. Did you? That'd be a good rap.
I'm loving it. I want to hear that. I want to hear that.
That would be. That,
Ireland, yes, you know Limerick is a place in Ireland, and that's where that comes from.
say that again.
Limerick is a place in Ireland, and that Limerick or that rhyming that's
I knew it came from Ireland. I didn't know that there was a place called Limerick. Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's like said it all basically.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try anything. I'm just going to say
Where do we?
I can do a Michael imitation. That's about it. I'm not even going to go there. No, that was so comprehensive and clear and articulate that, and not to mention, it also had the rhythm.
Yeah,
you know, it didn't just have the limerick rhythm; it actually had other rhythms in it. That's why I said that'd be a good rap.
yeah.
I want to hear that. I want a request here now that you do that, please.
All right. Well, send me the words and I'll find some music and I'll think about it. No, I got a lot out of that. There was a lot of I'm going to say like 4 or 5 primary energies presented in that. You know, a lot of times you see something or experience something and it's 1 or 2 dimensional. That was there's several elements in there that were presented as one, basically. I don't know how to explain it, but it was an excellent piece.
I don't know if it's just me, but I felt like I was hearing so many of the things that are in there that you guys were saying. I don't know if that was just me, but I could feel like you in this, maybe people watching could tell us better. I feel like you guys have been saying some of the stuff in there, and we've not talked about this. No one else has seen that.
True.
Is that just me? Is that just me, or?
You know what I think that is? You know what I always notice, and I've noticed from the beginning 9 years ago, is whenever something comes in, the past, present, future merge. It's like everything just goes, and to me, like, because I kind of can relate to what you're saying. It sometimes it appears like that. Sometimes it actually, it's almost like a deja vu, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a deja vu. Somebody wrote me last night and said, I just met you 2 months ago, and several months ago, I watched you with Mary Rodwell talk about everything that you talked about, and they gave specifics and they said, I didn't even know who you were. I didn't even know who she was. Right. And he said, it happened. I watched it tonight and I'm like, oh my God, I've already seen this. And he had like very clear, specific memory. So it's similar to that, to me, what you, it's almost like you stepped forward a day or a few hours and then came back, and I don't know how to explain it, but you can tell that, at least from my opinion, as a writer, I think a pretty decent writer, that was a pure channel.
Yeah.
That was a pure channel. That was just, so however you did it, doesn't even matter.
I'm not even joking. I have books and books of that scribbled that have never seen the light of day, and I can't even read them. I'm not even joking. My writing's so terrible.
I know. I have to type. I have a computer in New York City that's got like 300 SoulSpeaks on it.
Oh my God.
I can't read my writing. I'm the same way. Michael, you want to take us out? You got something?
All I would say is this, because Israel and I, we've been creating something, but it's not done. But it makes sense to me that's not done, because I really feel like what Martin just shared is supposed to close the energy that was created.
Yeah, I agree.
So I was going to share something impartial, but you literally took the entire conversation, and with that poem, that was like, it was sealed. You sealed it, and I had chills while you were speaking, because it's literally a blueprint for shifting out of one state of consciousness and into unity consciousness. I mean, you talk about the merging, the amalgamation, you talk about the shift, you talk about the moving from duality to trinity, like all of that in just the most, like he said, comprehensive, beautiful, artistic expression. And I'm so moved and touched. And since I didn't finish and brother didn't, that just means that the three of us are going to have to come together again soon.
No, seriously, that and that's why that piece is so powerful to me, because of the structure and the phrasing, and of course the intelligence, the infinite intelligence. But that was like a perfectly wrapped present. That's what that was. It was like a perfectly wrapped present that when you unwrap it, comes off perfectly too. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. That was amazing. I'd love for you to send me the text, and let's play around with it.
I was gonna say, brother, you should really record that.
Yeah, and even I mean, Martin, maybe you should do it.
I heard, to be honest, I heard Rory saying this to you as well. I heard this in your voice, Michael.
There you
I
go.
heard it in your voice when I was reading it.
Hand it over to Michael. Let him and Israel do their.
Not mine. I just delivered it. It's nothing to do with me. If it was, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I send it off to some other.
Hey, you're the conduit, man.
Oh, yeah.
I would absolutely record that for you if that's what you want to do.
Do it.
It was good.
I just sent him one over. He did it for me. My words, It's called cashew butter and jelly. He goes like this, Martin. He's like, cashew butter and strawberry jelly.
I had that yesterday.
Makes my mouth water. It makes my fat belly. I don't know. But anyway,
gives me a Buddha belly.
Buddha belly.
Hey, bro, exciting news. Israel just finished up an intro for us.
Good.
So we'll have an intro for the word. I'll share it for you.
Excellent. Yeah. And I looked at what he put together. I really liked it. What he put together with that show that I asked him to give it a shot on.
Oh yeah.
Morgan and Rory did. Yeah, I thought it was very good. Yeah, I watched it last night. I'm going to watch it again today and see what I can do with it. All right, man. I love you guys. Thank you so much for showing up today and every day. And Martin, I bow to you. That was incredible. That was
it's not me. To be honest, I just delivered the message.
I know.
But I thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. We'll see y'all later.
Love you guys.
Peace out.